The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 2, The Way to Blessedness. The Way to Blessedness. I shall tell you a story from the Vedas tonight. The Vedas are the sacred scriptures of the Hindus and are a vast collection of literature, of which the last part is called as Vedant, meaning the end of the Vedas. It deals with the theories contained in them and more especially the philosophy with which we are concerned. It is a written in archaic Sanskrit. It is written in archaic Sanskrit, and you must remember it was written thousands of years ago. There was a certain man who wanted to make a big sacrifice. In the religion of the Hindus, sacrifice plays a great part. There are various sort of sacrifices. They may alter and pour oblations into the fire and repeat various hymns and so forth. And at the end of the sacrifice, they make a gift to the Brahmins and the poor. Each sacrifice has its peculiar gift, and there was one sacrifice where everything a man possessed had to be given up. Now, this man, though rich, was misery, and at the same time wanted to get a great name for having done this most difficult sacrifice. And when he did this sacrifice, instead of giving up everything he had, and he gave away only his blind, lame, and old cows that would never more give milk. But he had a son called Nachiket, a bright young boy who observing the poor gifts made by his father, and pondering on the demerit that was sure to accrue to him thereby, resolving to make amends for them by making a gift of himself. So he went to his father and said, And to whom will you give me? The father did not answer the boy, and the boy asked a second and third time. When the father got vexed and said, "The die I give up to Yum, die I give you up to Yum, die I give up to death." Yum means death. And the boy went straight to the kingdom of Yum. Yum was not at home, so he waited there. There, after 3 days, Yum came and said to him, "O Brahmin, thou art my guest, and thou hasn't been here for 3 days without any food. I salute Dai, and in order to repay Dai for this trouble, I will grant Dai three boons. I will grant Dai three boons." Then the boy asked the first boon, "May my father's anger against me get calmed down." And the second boon was that he wanted to know about certain sacrifices. And then came the third boon. When the man dies, the question arises, what becomes of him? Third boon was, when a man dies, the question arises, what becomes of him? Some people say he ceases to existence, others say that he exists. Please tell me what the answer is. This is the third boon that I want. Then Death answered, the gods in the ancient times tried to unravel the mystery. This mystery is so fine that it is hard to know. Ask for some other boon. Do not ask this. Ask for a long life of 100 years. Ask for cattle and horses. Ask for great kingdoms. Do not press me to answer this. Whatever man desires for his enjoyment, ask all that and I will fulfill it. But do not want to know this secret. No, sir, said the boy. Man is not to be satisfied with wealth. If wealth were wanted, we should get it. If we have only seen you, we shall also live so long as you rule. What decaying mortal living in the world below and possessed of knowledge, having gained the company of undecaying and immortal, with light with delight in long life, knowing the nature of the pleasure produced by songs and sport. Therefore, anything else, that is what Nachiket wants. Therefore, tell me this secret about the great hereafter. I do not want anything else. That is what Nachiket wants, the mystery of death. Then the god of death was pleased. We have been saying in the last 2 or 3 lectures that this jnana prepares the mind. So you see here that the first preparation is that a man must desire nothing else but the truth, and the truth for truth's sake. See how this boy rejected all the gifts which death offered him: possession, property, wealth, long life, and everything he was ready to sacrifice for his one idea: knowledge only, the truth. Thus alone can truth come. The God of death became pleased. Here are two ways, he said: one of enjoyment and other is of blessedness. One of enjoyment and other of blessedness. These two, in various ways, draw mankind. We become a sage who of these two. He becomes a sage, or he becomes a sage who of these two takes up that which leads to blessedness, and he degenerates who takes up the road of enjoyment. One becomes the sage who takes the road of blessedness, and he degenerates who takes the road of enjoyment. I praise you, Nachiket. You have not asked for desire. In various ways I tempted you towards the path of enjoyment. You resisted them all. You have known the knowledge in much higher than of life of enjoyment. You have understood that the man who lives in the ignorance and enjoy is not different from the beast. Yet there are many who, though steeped in ignorance, in pride of their hearts, think that they are great sages and go round and round in many crooked ways, like the blink led by the blink, and like the blind led by the blind. This truth, Nachiket, never shines in the heart of those who are like ignorant children, deluded by the few lumps of earth. They do not understand this world nor the other world. They deny this and the other one, and thus again and again come under my control. Many have not even the opportunity to hear about it, and many, though hearing, cannot know it, because the teacher must be wonderful, so must be the wonderful to unto. So must he be wonderful to unto whom the knowledge is carried. If the speaker is a man who is not highly advanced, then even 100 times heard, even 100 times heard and 100 times thought, the truth never illumines the soul. Do not disturb your mind by vain arguments, Nachiket. This truth only becomes effulgent in the heart which has been made pure. He who cannot be seen without the greatest difficulty, he who is hidden, he who is has entered the cave of the heart of hearts, the ancient one, cannot be seen with the external eyes. Seeing him with the eyes of the soul, one gives up both pleasure and pain. He who knows this secret gives up all his vain desires and attend this superfine perception, and thus becomes ever blessing or ever blessed. Nachiket, that is a way to be blessed done. He is beyond he is beyond all virtues. He is beyond all virtues, beyond all vice, beyond all duties, beyond all non duties, beyond all existence, beyond all that it's to be. He who knows alone knows. He whom all the Vedas seek, to see whom men undergo all sort of asceticism. I will tell you his name. It is Om. This eternal Om is a Brahman. This is immortal one. He who knows the secret of this, whatever he desire is his. This self of man, Nachiket, about which you seek to know, is never born and never dies, without beginning ever exists. This ancient one is not destroyed. When the body is destroyed, if the slayer thinks that he can slay, and if the slain man thinks he is slain, both are mistaken, for neither can the self kill nor can it be killed. Infinitely smaller than the smallest particle, infinitely greater than the greatest existence, the Lord of all lies in the caves of the heart of very being. He who has become sinless sees him in all his glory. Through the mercy of same Lord, we find that the mercy of the Lord, The mercy of the God is one of the causes of God realization. Sitting, he goes far. Lying, he goes everywhere. Who else but a man of purified and subtle understanding are qualified to know the God in whom all confliction, all conflicting attributes meet, without body, yet living in the body, untouched, yet seeming in the contact, omnipresent, knowing the Atma to be such. The sage gives up all misery. This Atma is not to be attained by the study of the Vedas, nor by the highest intellect, nor by much learning, whom the Atma seeks. He gets the Atma up to him. He discloses his glory. He who is continuously doing evil deed, he whose mind is not calm, he who cannot meditate, he who is always disturbed and fickle, he cannot understand and realize this Atma who has entered the cave of the heart. The body, this body, Nachiket, is a chariot. The organ of the senses are horses. The mind is a ring. The intellect is a charioteer, and the soul is the rider of this chariot. When the soul joins himself with the charioteer, buddhi or intellect, and then through it with the mind, the rein, and through it again with With the organ, the horses, he is said to be the enjoyer. He perceives, he walks, he acts. He whose mind is not under control and who has no discrimination, his senses are not controllable, with like vicious horses in the hands of a driver. But we, but he who has discrimination, whose mind is controlled, his organs are always controllable by like good horses in the hands of the driver. He who has discrimination, whose mind is always in a way to understand truth, who is always pure, he receives the truth, attaining which there is no rebirth. This, O Nachiket, is very difficult. He way is long. The way is long and it is hard to attain. It is only those who have attained and finest perception that can see it and that can understand it. Yet do not be afraid. Wake, wake up, be up and doing. Do not stop till you have reached the goal. For the sages say that the task is very difficult, like walking on the edges of the razor. He who is beyond the senses, beyond all touch, beyond all form, beyond all taste, the unchangeable, the infinite, beyond even intelligence, the indestructible, knowing him alone, we are safe from the jaws of death. So far, we see that Yum describes the goal it that is to be attained. The first idea that we get is that birth, death, misery, and the various tossings about to which we are subject in the world can only be overcome by knowing that which is real. What is real? That which never changes, the self of man, the self behind the universe. Then again, it is said that it is very difficult to know them or know him. Knowing does not mean simply intellectually assent. It means realization. Again and again, we have read that this self is to be seen, to be perceived. We cannot see it with the eyes. The perception for it has to become superfine. It is gross perception by which the walls and the books are perceived. But the perception to describe the truth has to be made very fine, and that is the whole secret of this knowledge. Then Yama says that one must be very pure. That is the way to making the perception superfine. And then he goes on to tell us other ways that self existence, one is far removed from the organs. The organs or the instruments see outward, but the self existence, one. The self is the seen inward. You must remember the qualification that is required, the desire to know this self by turning the eyes inward. All these beautiful things that we see in nature are very good, But that is not the way to see God. We must learn how to we must learn we must learn how to turn the eyes inwards. The eagerness of the eyes to see outward should be restricted. When you walk in the busy street, it is difficult to hear the man speak with whom you are walking because of the noise of the passing carriages. We cannot hear you because he cannot hear you because there is so much noise. The mind is going outward, and you cannot hear the man next to you. In the same way, this world around us is making such a noise that it draws the mind outward. How can we see the self? This going outwards must be stopped. That is what is meant by turning the eyes inward, and then alone the glory of Lord within will be seen. What is this self? We have seen that it is even beyond the intellect. We learnt from the same Upanishad that this self is eternal and omnipresent, that you and I and all of us are omnipresent beings, and that the self is unchangeable. How this omnipresent being can be only one? There cannot be two beings who are equally omnipresent. How could that be? There cannot be two beings who are infinite, and the result is there is really one, only one self, and you and I and the whole universe are but one, appearing as many. As one fire entering with the world manifests itself in various forms, even so that one self, the self of all, manifests itself in every form. But the question is, if this self is perfect and pure and the one being of the universe, what becomes of it when it goes into the impure body, the wicked body, the good body, and so on? How can it remain perfect? The one sun is the cause of the vision in every eye, yet it is not touched by the defect of the eyes of any. If a man has jaundice, he sees everything as yellow. The cause of this vision is the sun, but his seeing everything as yellow does not touch the sun. Even so, this one being through the self of everyone, it is not touched by the purities or impurities outside. In this world, in this world where everything is evanescent, he who knows him, he who knows him, who never changes in this world is in sentency. He who knows the one sentient being in the world of many, he who knows this one and sees him in his own soul, up to him belongs the eternal bliss, to none else, to none else. There the sun shines not, nor the stars, nor the lightning flashes. What to speak of fire? He shines, everything shines. Through his light, everything becomes effulgent. When all the desire that trouble the heart ceases, then the mortal becomes immortal, and here one attains Brahman. When all the crookedness of the heart disappears, when all its knots are cut sunder, then alone the mortal becomes immortal. This is the way. May this study bless you and bless all of us. May it maintain us. May it give us strength. May it become energy in us. May we not hate each other. Peace unto all. This is the line of thought that you will find in the Vedant philosophy. We see first that there is a thought entirely different from what you see anywhere else in the world. In the oldest part of Vedas, the search was the same as in the other books. The search was outside. In some of the old books, the question was raised, what was in the beginning, when there was neither aught nor not? When darkness was covering darkness, who created all this? So the search began, and they began to talk about the angel, devas, and all sort of things. And later, too, And later on, we find that they gave it up as hopeless. In their day, the search was outside and they could not find nothing. But in later days, as we read in the Vedas, they had a look inside for the self-existent one. This is the one fundamental idea in Vedas that our search in the stars, the nebulae, the Milky Way, in the whole of this external universe led to nothing, never solved the problem of life and death. The wonderful mechanism inside had to be analyzed, and it revealed to them the secret of the universe. Nor the sun nor the stars could do it. Man had to be anatomized, not the body, but the soul of man. In that soul, they found the answer. What was the answer they found? That behind the body, behind even mind, there is a self existence one. There is a self-existent One. He dies not, nor he is born. The self-existent One is omnipresent because he has no form. That which has no form, no shape, that which is not limited by the space or time, cannot live in the certain place. How can it? It is everywhere, omnipresent, equally present through all of us. What is the soul of man? There was one party who held that there is a being, God, and an infinite number of the soul beside, who are eternally separate from God in essence and form and everything. This is delusion. This is the old old crude idea. The answer given by another party was that the soul was a part of the infinite divine existence. Just as this body is a little world by itself, and behind it is a mind or thought, and behind that is the individual soul. Similarly, the whole world is a body, and behind that is a universal mind, and behind that is a universal soul. Just as this body is a portion of the universal body, so this mind is a portion of the universal mind, and the soul of the man of portion of the universal soul. This is what is called as Vishishta Advait, qualified monism. Now we know that the universal soul is infinite. How can infinity or infinity have parts? How can it be broken up, divided? It may be very poetic to say that I am a spark of infinite, but it is absurd to the thinking mind. What is meant by dividing infinite? Is it something material that you can part or separate it into pieces? Infinite can never be divided. If that were possible, it would not be infinite. What is universal is you. You are not a part, but the whole of it. You are the whole of God. Then, what are all these varieties? We find so many millions of individual souls. What are they? If the sun reflects upon millions of globules of water, in each globule is a form and the perfect image of the sun. But they are only images. The real sun is only one. So so this apparent soul that is in every one of us is only the image of God, nothing beyond that. The real being who is behind is that one God. We are all one there. As self, there is only one in the nature or in the universe. It is in me, in you, and is only one. And that one self has been reflected in all these various bodies as various different selves. But we do not know this. We think we are separate from each other and separate from Him. And so long as we think this, misery will be in the world. This is hallucination. Then the other then the other great source of misery is fear. Why does one man injure another? Because he fears he have will not have enough enjoyment. Because he fears he will not have enough enjoyment. One man fears that perhaps he will not have enough money, and that fear causes him to injure others and rob them. How can there be fear in there in there is only one existence. If the thunderbolt falls on my head, it was I who was thunderbolt because I am the only existent. If the plug comes, it is I. If a tiger comes, it is I. If death comes, it is I. I am both death and life. We see that fear comes with the idea that there are two in the universe. We have always heard it preached. Love one another. What for? That doctrine was preached, but the explanation is here. Why should I love everyone? Because they and I are one. Because why should I love my brother? Because he and I are one. There is oneness. There is this oneness, this solidarity of the whole universe. From the lowest worm that crawls under our feet to the highest being that ever lived. All have various bodies, but are the one soul. Through all mouths you eat, through all hands you work, through all eyes you see. You enjoy health in millions of bodies. You are suffering from disease in the millions of bodies. When this idea comes and we realize it, see it, feel it, then will misery cease and fear will rise. And fear with it. How can I die? There is nothing beyond me. Fear ceases. And then alone comes perfect happiness and perfect love. That universal sympathy, universal love, universal bliss that never changes rises man above everything. It has no reaction, no misery can touch it. But this little eating and drinking of the world always brings a reaction. The whole cause of it is this dualism, the idea that I am separate from the universe, separate from the God. But as soon as we have realized that I am He, I am the self of the universe, I am eternal blessed, eternally free, then will come real love. Fear will vanish and all misery will cease.